And you don't really need a ruler. You use the width of the ribbon as your measurement. The advantage of this is that you can scale the ribbon and you can scale the trim up to any size you want or down, and the proportions will match. We're going to mark the selvages with a disappearing marker using the ribbon width like so. And then we're going to find the dead center of these units and use the ribbon to mark the dead center. These are all going to be points that you're going to be catching when you sew the ribbon. And the advantage of the disappearing pin is that the marks will vanish later. We'll take a needle and thread and begin by first catching one of the marks on the edge and catching the other edge. Stitch those together. And then the trick is to tip this down so that these 2 points match the third point that we marked. And you're going to catch all 3 points together with a couple of stitches. From here, travel to the next set of marks, catch the edge, and you will not pull the thread tight. You'll keep it loose. Stitch the next 2 together and tip it down. Catch the 3 together. And you continue in this manner, and when you turn it over, you're going to get something that looks like this. After you've sewn your row, you just want to sort of stroke everything into place so that it forms the little cones of the design. So that's the basic stitch. From here, the big question is, how do you begin this? How do you end it? On the ribbon here, at the beginning, I marked a stitching line that we're going to sew, and at the end, I've marked a stitching line that we're going to hand sew, and then a cut line. So we will fold these together, matching the 2 points. We'll sew down along that line. Once we've sewn and trimmed our threads, we're going to come here and trim the seam allowances to about 1/4 inch and clip the corner, and then turn this right side out. Now, none of you here use the scissors to turn your points, but we're going to cheat it this time. So we will have a point like so. Another needle and thread. We're going to catch this point here and then tilt this over, stitch the 2 points together. This will begin the row. And then, as before, work ahead, jump across, stitch the 2 points, tilt it over, and you'll continue the row up to where you want to end the piece. That's what it will look like. Now, as we've worked up the piece, we're ready to finish. So, we work up to 1 point below where we're going to finish. And cut this like so. Match it to this point here and stitch. And then finally, we're going to overlap the two stitching lines and do a little running stitch by hand to finish. Once you've stitched it, you can trim these little tail ends. And you have a nice little cone. And what that little cone does is it allows the other end to sit through. So if you're doing, say, cuffs or anything that has a join where you want to make the join invisible, there you have it. So now you're probably wondering, how do we attach this? I have this sample here. And literally what you're going to do with your needle and thread is to position everything onto the work, and you will just catch each of these little nesting points and have the thread tunnel underneath down to the next nesting point. And that's how you do it. Now, you're probably wondering what kind of ribbon, what kind of thread, that sort of thing. Any kind of ribbon really works with this. I tend to like a grosgrain or a stiffer ribbon rather than a really fine, thin ribbon, because you want a ribbon that has a little bit of body, because you want you want the folds to stand on their own. The thread I use is just a regular machine cotton polyester or polyester thread. Obviously, you would make the thread match the trim. It's a really, really beautiful trim. It takes curves as well as straight. This trim is really useful on clothing, accessories, or home furnishings. Now let's go back to the jacket to have one more look at this beautiful trim. If you've missed anything, you will find our instructions on our website.